New Paul starts us off. What's up, Josh?
Good afternoon, Mike.
What's happening?
Quick point about the Giants, but first, wow, that's really brutal that Thompson's making those quotes in this interview with the media about Girardi right after, the body's still warm. I mean, it's
The
crazy.
whole thing's silly. I mean, how are you different from Girardi? Well, I'm going to be a different communicator. Really, how? Well, I'll be different. Oh, how are you going to be different? Well, I'm just going to be different. I mean, well, how? No, I don't know how I'm going to be different. I'm just going to be different. I'm going to be a fresh voice. Yeah, well, how? I don't know. I'm just going to be a fresh voice. Okay. The whole thing's silly. I mean, it's silly. It's silly. Listen, if they're going to take someone off Joe's staff, then I don't get it. Now, maybe it was nothing more than Cash and Joe didn't get along anymore. But if you're going to tell me Joe didn't connect to the young players, well, wait a second. Are you going to do better? Are you going to do better than Judge and Sanchez have done? Sanchez has hit 50 homers in his first 177 games. And Judge hit 50 homers this year. They both won Silver Sluggers. Let them come. Let someone stimulate them that way for their whole careers. Okay? I don't care if they hate him if they're going to play like that. What do you think? They're going to play better? They're going to hit better? One guy had 50 homers, and he's up for the MVP as a rookie. The other guy's hit 50 homers as a catcher in 170 games, and he missed a month. He's knocked in like 132 runs in 170 games. So, performance, he got out of them. And isn't that his job? Plus, he won 90 games with a team that wasn't even supposed to be in the playoffs. And went to the ALCS 7th game. So, from that standpoint, we're going in a different direction. If he turns around and hires somebody off his staff, that would be really, really hard to take. Or somebody who's, a guy who's, you figured they were looking for something new, something fresh, something different. If they do that, you can at least say, hey, they went and they did something outside the box. But if they go and hire a guy who's off on his staff, it'd be very surprising. And really, you'd be puzzled by that. Then you're just saying it's a personality thing. That's all it was. Vinny in Hicksville, what's up, Vinny?
Hey, Mike, thanks for taking a call. First of all, I want to say, since Thanksgiving's around the corner, thank you for these many years, man. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
It's kind of sad because it's sad for me. You're kind of like the last vestige of my connection, kind of what my dad, we used to listen to you. Not trying to make you sound old, but
I am old. Listen, I've been sitting here for 30 years, and I've been here a long time. Listen. Yeah. I am. I'm not. Listen, you're not going to offend me. I am. Listen, I am. I'm not young anymore. I admit it. I mean, I still got a lot of good years left, but I'm not young anymore. I admit it.
I hope you do. I mean,
yes.
Listen, my birthday is going to be on your party. Unfortunately, I live in Florida, so I would love to come up and watch. But I just want to say thanks. And
thank you.
It's kind of sad. Brought so many memories to me. Kind of hard. I'm getting choked up thinking about my dad. But thank you again.
Well,
hey,
I've heard that over and over from so many people who started listening to us when they were in the back seat with their father, and now they're and now they got their 10-year-old in their back seat. Yep. So I mean, that's what sports does. Sports is that kind of connection. Not just me being that connection, but sports is that kind of connection from father to son, and it really is. Exactly. I mean, you think back to the movie City Slickers. When he said the only thing, during the Vietnam War, my father and I couldn't even speak, except the only thing we could talk about was baseball. The only time we could ever actually have a conversation was when our team was playing, and we could talk about baseball. Exactly. So, I mean, that's true.
Yeah, because we really didn't get along that much, but when we listened to you, we always argued about point when you and the dog. Listen, Mike, if you're the Yankees owner, what kind of man are you looking for right now? Do you want a sabermetric guy? Do you want a guy that's kind of like back in the day where, you just play it by hunch? Or are you just like strictly by the book? Because listen,
this isn't a Hal call. Listen, this isn't.
Girardi did it by the book, and he was, quite successful. But
this isn't a Hal call, Vinny. This is Cash presenting to Hal a new manager. This is Cash presenting to Hal a new manager, saying, Hal, here he is. Yeah, and then Hal's got to sign off on him. But that's what this is. And more, this is looking like this was Cash making a gut move where he just said, I'm making a change. I think it's time. Now, he got rid of a guy who was without question, successful, coming off a very successful season. So I don't even think, the way it looks to me, he's not really zeroing in on somebody. It looks like he wants to look at a lot of different kinds of people and put him through a lot of different paces before he makes a decision. Eric Wedge? We're going to hire Eric Wedge, who's here today? Really? You get rid of Joe Girardi to hire Eric Wedge? No offense to Eric Wedge, but come on now. So the idea was, we're going to do something, as we go into this new era here with these kids, we're going to go into a new era manager. You're going to have to give me something more creative than that. Otherwise, you're just telling me it was nothing more than a personality thing between Joe and Cash. That's all you're telling me. And Joe and a couple of players. But listen, that should never affect the general manager, what was going on in that clubhouse, if they're winning. That, you can't tell me, well, listen, Joe didn't connect the kid, he didn't connect Judge, he didn't connect the Sanchez. Well, you know what? Keep not connecting that way. To the tune of those guys winning Silver Sluggers this year, the team going to the 7th game of the ALCS, and these guys hitting home runs every time you turn around. Keep connecting that way. I'm all for that. So it's starting to look more and more like it really is on Cash to come up with something interesting here. Or basically admit, and he has almost said, this is my call. This is my deal. Which tells you that he decided that this was time for change, which you can do. But, again, you might own it in July. Greg in Long Island, what's up, Greg?
Hey, Mike.
What's happening?
Hey, Mike, how you doing, Mike? I've been listening to you for a long time.
Good.
It's been a pleasure on the way home from work.
Thank you.
My 2 sons listen to you. And but I want to talk about the Giants. Like Eli Manning, I think that Eli has a lot left. But with McAdoo though, it seems like he just he lost it. Like he's no discipline at all on that team.
I think I think there's a couple of things happening. First of all, remember this. Nothing's worse than a team that was supposed to be good that goes bad, because it's an old adage, and you've heard me utter it, and it was taught to me many years ago by coaches, and that is, it's never the player's fault. They're always going to blame somebody. It's the coaches are too technical, or they're not giving us the right plan, or this, I'm in the wrong position, it's never their fault, though. They're always going to come up with a reason. And when you get teams starting to splinter like this, because the team's doing badly, this is when things get really, really rocky for a coach. And you're seeing that now. And this week, they have a setup where they can get back on track, and then everyone they will leave the team alone for a week if they win. If they should lose this game, you can ratchet it up times 10. If they should ever lose this game. Next week, they have a big team coming in. In comes a team that is going to challenge them dramatically with their offense, and that's going to be Kansas City. Kansas City's a playoff team coming in with a very sophisticated, very multiple offense, a very outside-the-box offense that uses multiple tight ends, does a lot of things differently, puts a lot of pressure on you in a lot of ways, puts a lot of pressure on the perimeter of the defense, something the Giants don't handle well, puts a lot of pressure on with the tight end, something the Giants don't handle well. So that's going to be a whole different deal for them next week and a challenge for them. But first, it will get them a week where they will be able to go about their business for that challenge, as long as they put away this team in relatively comfortable fashion. If this game is an ugly mess and they pull it out, no good. If this team loses, if they lose to these guys, forget it. Armageddon. Ken in Babylon, what's up, Ken?
Hey, Mike, how's it going?
What's happening?
I just want to start off saying thank you for 30 years. Obviously this might be one of my last calls in, but just wanted to say thank you for all you've done for the New York sports scene.
Thank you.
My question was about the Giants, kind of piggybacking off of what you just said in terms of if they go out to San Francisco and for some reason lose the game.
Oh, that would be rough.
Do you see this being a midseason firing?
I don't. I know the Giants. First of all, I don't believe in that myself. Secondly, I don't think the Giants, unless there's a reason where players and coaches are at each other's throat, or the assistants are at each other's throat, or something like that, where you have to get the man out of the building. Unless, and I don't think that's the case. Unless that's the case, you don't gain anything by getting rid of the guy in season. Nothing. It doesn't work in the NFL. It does not work. All you're doing is biding time till next year anyway. So that doesn't work. I don't believe in that. So I don't think that happens, but you can pretty much start thinking about next year, though. And they can start thinking about where they're going to be spending next year because it won't be here. Wilson in Roxbury. What's up, Wilson?
Hey, Mikey. How are you?
Good. What's up?
Hey, Mike, listen. The Giants can't look in a rebuilding year because they have too many big players with too much money invested. And Eli Manning's still a top 10 quarterback in this league.
Well, what do you mean rebuilding? There's no way to rebuild anyway. What are you going to get new players? You're going to get new players in the middle of the season?
That's what I'm saying. A lot of people are saying that they have to take everything apart next year and start over.
That's silly. It's someone who doesn't know anything about the NFL. Right. The NFL doesn't work that way. The Giants are going to come. If they're going to, no matter what happens next year, they're going to spit this year out, and they're going to go proceed. The only way that would change is if they decide to make a change at quarterback, and they go and get a top young quarterback next year out of this draft, and decide to play him right away, and deal off Eli Manning. That would be the only way that team would be that kind of team next year. With a new coach, and if they went and got a rookie who they drafted in the top 5 of this next draft and then put him in the lineup right away, then they'd be a different team. Other than that, the Giants next year with this personnel will be looking to play right from the get-go. Teams can do that in the NFL. They absolutely can. The NFL is a very different league year to year, a very different year. Major different. You've seen teams go from 1-15 to 10-6 like that. So it can happen. Or 6-10 or 5-11 to 12 wins with the snap of a finger. Jamie in Connecticut, what's up, Jamie?
Hey, Mike. Hey, are we in a situation where we're about to see an NFL strike, either between players, owners, just in general?
Why strike? I don't understand. They have there's no collective bargaining issues with these guys. Why would that be? As far as over the anthem?
Yeah, I don't think we're threatening for a lawsuit. I feel like other owners. Some other owners got to have the same mindset of Jerry Jones.
I'm missing the point of why you think a strike, though. The players are going to walk out. They're not going to walk out.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Either a combination of just the players deciding not to play, even if it's just one team out of the whole league.
Oh, because but the NFL, the owners are not going to turn around this week and say, if you don't stand for the anthem, you're suspended. They're not going to do that.
Yeah.
So they can't do that at this point. They've already missed their opportunity to enforce that. They had 2 chances to enforce it. They missed on both. They're not going to do that. Now you're watching a different battle unfold. And I should have said opening the show, my fault, because I forgot that it's Veterans Day. I should have thought about that because it is this weekend and is today. And, this celebration's all weekend, and we do send our best and our remembrances that's what the day's about, is remembering veterans everywhere. So we do, and we thank you for your service. And for those who obviously paid the ultimate price, and the families that have been in those positions, we thank them for everything. So that's what this whole weekend's about. But as far as that part of the league, the anthem thing, even on this Veterans Weekend, is going to take a back seat now to whether or not one of their own is going to sue the league, because that turns this into a tumultuous situation. Jerry against Goodell, but now it's not just Jerry against Goodell. Now it's Jerry against other owners, Jerry against Arthur Blank in the short term, Jerry against that committee of 6 in the longer term, Jerry against all the other owners in the longer term, Jerry against Goodell. So now he's playing the role of Al Davis is now being played by Jerry Jones. That's what we have. Here's the update.